she's ardently anti-vegetarian.
Yeah, she's not anymore. She says if I run for office, she'll work on my campaign.
Yeah, sure.
All right. The Republicans and the rest of us can get behind this issue. Yes, we do. All Americans. The rest of them,
And why are you here today?
Are you
Mr. Matthew Hurt, yes, you're being recorded.
A young American opposed to unconstitutional and needless wars. I grew up and became politically aware during Iraq and Afghanistan, and I think it's a shame that we're sending young men and women to die for a cause that is, particularly with this issue, if we end up invading Syria, we'll have to have boots on the ground, and it's unfortunate. There's not a reason for it. There's no significant national security interest.
Alrighty.
Long and rambling answer.
Okay, Shoshana, pretend you don't know me and tell me why you're here.
Hi.
You're being recorded.
Huh?
Because you're being recorded.
Yay. I'm
Aren't
here
you happy?
because the last thing we need is the government involved in another war. We are not the world's police, and maybe the UN isn't doing the best job they could, but it's not our job to take it over. And at best, this war would just be saving face for Obama. So I don't want that.
All right, ladies, anybody else?
I completely agree with Shoshana. We're just against the war because it's not in the U.S.'s best interest to get entangled in another war. We should be focusing on our own country. And right now, we have a continuing resolution to pass. We have the debt limit to worry about. I think we should be focusing on our own interests here in the U.S., not in Syria.
And I agree with these two. Honestly, our debt's now $17 trillion. We have way too many problems at home, and the last thing we need to be focusing on is another war.
I thought debt was supposed to stimulate the economy. I thought they told me that.
Well, obviously,
shouldn't we have more?
Well, there needs to be a certain level of debt, but just the amount of debt is just going to cause our generation to have to pay for it, and we're going to be living below our means while this generation is living above them.
Alrighty. You have a bright sign.
Hi. Yes, I know.
And you're here because?
Pretty much everything that she just said. I have a lot of really good friends in the military right now, and I don't want to send them over to Syria to fight for Al-Qaeda, essentially. The Syrian rebels are Al-Qaeda, and on the eve of 9/11, I don't think it's the right thing for us to do. With the question that you just asked the young lady here, they say that the war can bring temporary peace to the economy, but it's just that. It's temporary. War will do nothing but damage us in the long run.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate with a wild thought I had this week, which is Charlie Rangel said that he would be in favor of this as long as we had conscription for everybody. And I thought, well, that's kind of funny because we have this massive unemployment and conscription would help cover it up. Do you have any comment on my wild thought? No?
I don't either.
I have well, conscription is the draft. Is one of the worst things that a government can do, which is take...
But wouldn't it solve unemployment?
Well, yes, but so would the plague.
You don't think Charlie Rangel's just trying to help all those teenagers who can't get jobs?
Well, I think Charlie Rangel is one of the misguided people who believe that we should institute an evil, which is the draft, in order to stop another evil, which is these reckless, unconstitutional, because they're not declared by Congress, and wasteful of lives and treasure wars.
Alrighty. I skipped you.
I don't believe in repeating history. America, the United States have done this over and over again.
In Syria?
No, in other countries in the Middle East. We've invaded, they don't want us there. And why should we repeat history? And why are we going to give weapons to help our enemies like we did in the past? So,
Yeah.
All right. If I'm really careful, I can get Matthew Coulterhurt's treasure trail on film.
What, Bruce?
I said I can get your treasure trail on film. This makes this video unusable. I didn't even know you had one, Matthew. All right, so you think the American founders would have been against us going to war in Syria because they sent naval ships to Tripoli to take care of pirates. So, like, why wouldn't they do this? I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
I'll answer.
Oh, okay.
Because that was argued. Those interventions may have been questionable as a historical matter, but the founders were very careful to make those very more limited and to have some tie directly to an American national interest. This is just, well, Obama's upset because they use chemical weapons. The president, the dictator, is upset because they use chemical weapons, and he's decided to launch a crusade for humanitarian intervention. It's actually one of the most dangerous philosophies there is, this idea that America has a duty to intervene wherever rights are violated because it has no limiting principle, and it means that we will be forever at war and that we will be forever having an executive with unlimited power. And that also directly will bleed over into our domestic economy. Rand Paul 2016.
Do you think he's going to run?
I don't know. I just couldn't I just got myself in a hole there, and I just couldn't figure out an eloquent way to end that except for going
Obviously,
Rand
you
Paul.
should shoot me so that no one ever sees that, and then you'll be okay.
Or how about this? Bruce Majors 2016.
Yeah.
Bruce Majors for delegate.
That almost looks like it says not IRS.
I would vote for Bruce Majors. I would too.
Well, maybe just to me.
Well,
actually,
I'm just
so
trying to figure out how, though, just because I drew the pictures. So, I mean, I knew what I meant,
So-
but I'm not sure how it could be seen. You know what I
and
mean?
so you're here today.
I'm here
Peace,
today.
not drones, not bombs, not planes.
Doves, not drones, not bombs, not planes, no military intervention in Syria. I feel like it's a complicated situation. I really don't think we just have a place to speak to say anything.
I was lukewarm.
And that has to almost deliberately look like Star Wars, no?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, okay.
It's the idea of the parody. In fact, you can find it on Facebook on Alliance of Rebel Scum, and in many forms. So enjoy.
And this man's actually wearing his poster. It looks good.
in Syria.
What country are you from?
Italy.
Italy.
Are you a journalist?
Not really. Not according to Dianne Feinstein, who wants to have the government decide who is and who isn't.
Yeah, okay.
It's a recent bill, and she wants to regulate bloggers and internet people so that the First Amendment won't apply to them unless she says they're a journalist and they get paid to do it for a living.
Yeah. It's pretty similar in Italy.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, it hasn't happened here yet. She just wants to do it. Anyway, okay, so now we're on your other side. Let me see if I can ask you a question about this. But maybe he can. He says he could do it without Congress's approval.
Well, I mean, I think when he took an oath to uphold the Constitution, he promised that he wouldn't. The Constitution doesn't give the president the authority to go to war unilaterally.
Yeah, but the Constitution is a living, breathing document, and it, says different things to each generation. No?
Well, it's a bit of a cliche, but I think it's true that a living Constitution is a dead Constitution. So I disagree.
But he's a constitutional scholar. he's written many books explaining the Constitution.
Yeah, well, he also got a Nobel Peace Prize. So.
Oh, that's true. All right, so there's an actual soldier here.
He's also a community organizer.
There's a soldier
getting help
here.
Organized by the American people.
I see. So, do you have anything to say about your experience in Iraq and what it tells you about Syria? Or is that not where your opinions come from?
Man.
No, you don't? Okay. All right. But I can tell you one thing about your experience in Iraq.
What's that? About
Last week there was somebody here, I will not point them out, who forgot to bring sunscreen. You're the only person who brought a hat other than me. So you clearly have desert training.
this is
I know. But see, none of these other people, they're out here in the sun. They didn't bring anything, they don't have water bottles. I know. See, you've got a pack and a hat, and these people are all just out here,
hydrated
burning.
and quite shaded. So.
All right. I think you were here last week at the protest. So have your opinions changed in the past week? No? All right. All right. Well, that's almost 10 minutes, which is all I ever do.